Hi guys, Minnie here, and welcome to episode 10 of Return Trajectory. When we last left off, we were doing some fuel operations on the watchtower above the moon surface. I'm just moving some fuel around right here, and we're going to get Alan Kerman out to do some EVA work. So now that we've got the URD docked, we're going to go ahead and fold up those solar panels, open the cargo bay, and get attaching with stuff. We've got a bunch of little struts and stuff that we're going to be attaching to things, mainly the unmanned resupply drone itself, mainly to keep it stable because we're only using that small docking port, and any rotation of any kind with the station is pretty much prone to lots of jiggling. The same thing with the top secret module that we do have attached. So it's basically lots and lots and lots of trips all the way back up to the resupply drone to get parts out of those little Kerbal attachment system boxes. And then flying back to where we want to attach things, and then hitting the G key. No, the H key. It's the H key, sorry. The H key to attach things. G lets you grab things. Got this ladder, and it looked really weird when I had it on him. I was trying to find a place to extend the ladder from the science bay, but it didn't want to attach directly on. It kept attaching at an angle, so I figured I'd go down here and attach it from the docking port to go over that mid-cross truss section. And back to the URD. More struts, yay! Now when something's yellow, it means that it's not in range of basically being attached, or basically that's all it is. But if it can't be attached to something, then it's red. And I had that strut in the wrong place, so there we go. That's in the right place now. Alright, so let's see what else. That one's cubic octagonal struts. I don't need to use those. This box has... well, I'll just take the whole box with me. Instead of going back and forth, why not grab the box and move the box around and then pick up stuff from it? And the cool thing is, with these boxes, I can, move around on ladders and stuff. So if I get onto another planet, I need to move stuff back up on a ship, or attach it somewhere else, or get parts up where I need them, I can grab a box and then move down. The problem is, when you grab something from the box, you can only carry one thing at a time on your back, so having the Kerbal attachment system box nearby is definitely a good idea. I was having some trouble getting that strut on there. There we go, 2 links on. Grab the box again. Technically, all I have to do is fly next to it and hit G, and it'll grab the nearest object that's free and not attached. Because that'd be inconvenient. Like if you're next to a ship and you're like, oh, I want to grab that, but it grabs the nearest object that's actually, taped down to something or attached, that would be unfortunate. Okay, so we've got the top secret module attached and steadied, which is very cool. Same thing with the resupply drone. They're not going anywhere anytime soon, and they'll be nice and stable. So I'm going to get some stabilizing struts attached onto the other port. When something does dock, we'll have the ability to stabilize those relatively quickly. Just a few struts on the new ship after we dock it. If it's planning on staying there a long period of time, that's the thing. If it's just going to be visiting, or temporarily docking, or doing resupplies, or dumping stuff off, I'm going to be leaving immediately after, then we don't need the struts. If we're planning on having something attached for a longer duration of time, then yes. I'm going to go ahead and take this box back up to the resupply drone and drop it off now that it's empty. And get one of these. So we're going to go ahead and attach the other RTG. You notice I did put the other one next to those heat radiator panels, the big orange ones. These are going to be our backup power supply. Not that we really need it with all the solar panels and batteries, but just in case, it should be enough to keep life support running, as well as all the running lights and anything else I need to keep the station running. So if I do forget to pop open the panels or something, those RTGs will help supply enough energy to be able to reboot systems and stuff like that. So having redundant power is very good. So I want to go ahead and grab the next container, and I'm working on getting the communication array attached, which is just under that cupola module. And that is too big. That's going to go back in the box. Grab the container, go back down. And the URD had split in half. What had happened is the Kerbal Attachment System box has an attachment node on the bottom of it, and when I attached everything to the actual front section where that SAS module is, it was actually attached to the Kerbal Attachment System box. Yes, that does look horrible, but I need to get everything off the URD before it floats away. So basically everything that's in there, I have to get everything off, and that's floating away, so I had a fantastic idea. So the idea is to use the refueling ports, because they make fuel lines, and fuel lines practically dock stuff together. I would use 2 fuel lines to dock the station back to the back section of the URD, which will prevent it from floating away any further than it is already. There we go, and docked. So that's not going anywhere anytime soon, and that does give us access to anything that is on that craft, so that's not gonna work. It has to be docked to something for it to attach. Now if I used a fuel line on that box, it would have grabbed it. But just the struts doesn't work that way. So with that little box floating away, what we're going to do is start moving all the supplies from the URD into the station and all the waste into the URD to get rid of it. I'm going to have to get rid of the URD since it's practically broken at this point. So disposal of that ship is going to be on the objective list. So we're going to get Alan Carmen out again. Unattach the struts, since it's not going to stay here very long. We're going to recycle these solar panels that are attached. We might as well get useful things off of it before we dispose of it. And I wanted to try to get the back section more in line with the actual front section, that way it's not at an odd angle. And that box is floating away, so I had to remember to go get it. So the next part is a little bit tricky. I had to get the box back in, or trying to get it in. Get it back into the resupply drone, that way we can get rid of it. And part clipping everywhere, and oh my gosh. And I try to attach this, and then come on, I had to move that and attach it, and it checks, and there goes the box again. So I gotta grab Alan, and the station's malfunctioning, opening up panels, and the fairings are freaking out. I gotta have Alan to maneuver around that Alan Kerman debris there. Grab the box again. I think this is the 3rd time I've grabbed it from it floating off. So let's try this again with the drone in a fixed position. We're just gonna go backwards and leave it while the URD just eats it. Alright, so let's go ahead and detach this thing. Get Alan back inside. Back inside you go. Okay, so we gotta deorbit this. We've got all the junk on board. And I was burning backwards and wasn't paying attention, and the box came out. Can't just leave space debris floating around, so we'll just have to collect that then, won't we? right here. There we go, lights on. Just gonna maneuver this thing into position. It's like Jaws.
Come here, you. No, 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 no. Delicious.
Oh man, scrape the station. Hopefully the insurance covers that. So we got the box stored away. We use centrifugal force to keep it from leaving. We're leaving the malfunctioning watchtower now, and we're gonna deorbit this weird looking gaffer taped together ship. I actually had to watch this thing as it went down at 4 times time acceleration so that box would stay put, because otherwise it would have floated off on its own little trajectory. And you know, my rule, no space debris. No space debris. Had a few close calls with the mountains, but eventually we did impact. And that took care of the debris problem. Let's head back to KSC and see what's going on there.
This is Kerbal Space Center. We're confirming the launch of the URD Mark II en route to the station. Stage 1 separation. Bearings separated. Solar panels deployed. On to final stage. 100-kilometer apoapsis achieved. Orbit achieved. Preparing for burn to the moon. Intercept with moon confirmed. We're letting the URD Mark II take over.
Orbital operations underway. Changing inclination. Initiating orbital rendezvous burn procedures. Retrograde burn thrust to rendezvous space station. Intercept plotted. Final rendezvous maneuvers underway. Preparing to jettison final stage.
This is the watchtower. Approach is looking good.
All docking procedures initiated.
URD Mark II docked. Thanks, KSC. We'll begin moving supplies over later. Right now we need to reboot our systems. Shutting down the heat radiators and closing up the ladders. Shutting down all solar panels. Reboot initiated. Systems are green, getting a good solar alignment.
Meanwhile, back at KSC, we've got another launch plan. This one has Bill and Jebediah Kerman on board, and it is using the exact same launcher that we used for the Morgas. I'm definitely a fan of not having to build the same launcher over and over, so I have saved this as a sub-assembly and will probably continue to use it in the future because it's not broken and it doesn't need to be fixed. With the fairing deployment here, we can see that we've got a vessel on board. This is the Moon Orbiter Reusable Science Exploration Lander, also known as the Morsel for short. And it will be going to the moon to do all the exploring there to get all that tasty, tasty science, and it is definitely gonna live up to its name. Got a little bit of wobbling there, so we turned off those SAS modules so we didn't have all that shaking going on. We've got all this debris floating around, and I'll have to get rid of that. In the meantime, we're gonna send the Morsel on its way to the moon. There we go. Intercept. Nice close approach. Moon intercept plotted. Perfect. There we go. Now all this debris that you guys did see floating around had a low enough periaps to deorbit, but I had to watch it. So this is about an hour of footage cut down. And with the morsel making its final approach on the moon, I need to decide where to land first. So, I am going to aim for the North Pole. It's definitely hard to get to, especially when making a large inclination change when already in the orbit of the moon, so going for a polar orbit right off the bat seemed like a good idea at the time.
Double backflip above the moon, above the moon. Checking for gravity high above the moon. Transmit the data from high above the moon, above the moon. We've already gotten the science from close to the moon. Retrograde thrust, too much thrust, wobbling around, making a sound, thrusting some more, but quite not as much, thrusting down, to bring up my periaps, thrusting above the moon, jiggling around, I look like a jelly, retrograde thrust, out of fuel, oh no, Bill Kerman's not happy. Oh, above the moon, orbiting the moon, prepare to jettison that spin stage. Poof, there it goes, retrograde to the moon. Down we go, and boom. To the moon, to the moon. Now what? Time to adjust. Engines aren't working. What will we do? Engines aren't working at all, at all. But we have fuel. Nothing is working. I am confused. Let's start repairs. Remove the lander. Toolbox is out. Jeb Kerman out, ladder down. Open up the box, grab a fuel tank, put it on the engine. Maybe that will work, put it on the engine. Got to find another fuel tank, here is one, let's go over here. Put it on the fuel tank, let's go back inside on the ladder, crawl back up and hop inside. Let's try to load the quick save. Doesn't work, okay. Let's try again. We've got little engines here, slap one on, grab the fuel tank, that doesn't work, put it back in the box, and grab another engine, put the engine on the tank, grab the other fuel tank, put it back in the box.
Great. Engines don't work. Fan-freaking-tastic. Engines aren't working. None of the secondary engines are working. Let's load back from this freaking tracking station. And